In the morning hours, when the world is still embraced by silence and peace is only beginning to give way to a new day, special words are born. They possess a power capable of touching the heart and leaving an indelible mark on the memory. Imagine that your words will be the first thing a person sees in the morning. You will become the voice that plants a seed of inspiration and positivity in their soul, which will accompany them throughout the day. This is not just an exchange of messages, it is the creation of a moment when a person feels special and important. Perhaps they will be awakened by the vibration of their phone, and upon seeing your name, they will smile, not yet realizing why. But after reading your words, they will understand that they are being thought of and valued. Such a start to the day can change their entire perception, and you can be the cause of these positive changes. However, in order for a simple good morning to turn into something more, it is necessary to build an emotional bridge. Offer the person a place where they can rest their mind and gather strength before the start of the hustle and bustle. This requires not just a formal phrase, but a sincere connection and presence. As Louise Hay said, words have magical power, especially if they are filled with love and expressed without reproach or expectations. Before revealing the secret of those messages that can change their attitude towards you, it is necessary to understand one important point. This will be the key to ensuring that your words truly have an effect and achieve their goal. Get ready for a short journey into the world of human emotions and hidden desires. In this concept, there is no room for manipulation or superficial tricks. Energy, frequency, and vibrations play a key role here. When a person is in harmony with the energy of genuine love, every word they say, every message they write, acquires a special power of influence. The interlocutor may not realize the reason, but will certainly feel that there is something in you that calms, inspires, and supports them. Louise Hay taught us that every word spoken is an affirmation, and every affirmation, conscious or not, becomes a seed sprouting in our reality. Therefore, by sending a message, we create reality. We sow certain seeds, and that which is sown with love will surely blossom with beauty. The proposed messages are not just memorized phrases, but loving affirmations, artfully disguised as ordinary texts. These are delicate ways to express your support, to say "I am with you," without saying those words directly. These are priceless gifts that do not require wrapping, but are revealed in the very soul. However, it is important to understand that these messages should not be blindly copied. It is necessary to feel their essence, adapt them to yourself, understand why they work and how they resonate with your feelings. Speak from your heart, from your true essence. After all, it is not only the phrase itself that can make a person think about you, but also the emotion behind it. This emotion should be born from your truth, from a sincere desire to touch their life with tenderness, and not from a feeling of acute need. There is a huge difference between wanting to be present in their thoughts and needing it to feel your own significance. The first is a manifestation of love. The second is a manifestation of need. You are not here because of need, but because you realize that you can offer something valuable, that your presence has meaning. You know that there are ways to love that do not bind, do not pressure, but uplift. So from now on, every message you send will be a message carrying crystal clarity of intentions, genuine sincerity of feelings, and radiant presence of spirit. They will feel it, even if they cannot explain the reason. Their gaze, wandering outside the window, or enjoying morning coffee, or listening to the sounds of a random melody that has no direct relation to you, will inevitably turn to your image. After all, your words sounded from the depths of the soul, where few are allowed to penetrate. And at that moment, you will find yourself not only on the screen of their phone, but also in the very heart of their thoughts, in the flow of their energy, in the innermost corners of their soul. It's not just about what they read through your eyes, but also about what they perceive directly, without having to analyze and interpret. Words born in a pure emotional center have a special frequency, an invisible impulse, piercing the text like a warm ray. Sometimes just one line is capable of untangling a complex inner knot, illuminating a hidden corner of the soul that was previously in the shadows. When you write from this state, you give them something more than just a set of letters. You offer them refuge, respite, an island of meaning in the hustle and bustle of everyday life, among countless notifications, intrusive obligations, and the eternal rush. The presence of a person who asks for nothing in return, but only accompanies, becomes a reliable anchor. And this anchor does not shackle or restrict, but only offers support and encouragement. There are men who are accustomed to quick attention, programmed gestures, and attachment wrapped in expectations. When something different appears, something that asks for nothing in return but transforms, people involuntarily stop, think, and remember, because authenticity is felt even when it can't be fully understood. Within each person's soul lies a secret, intimate space where unspoken desires, unnamed fears, and memories that cause silent pain reside. When you write to them with sensitivity, without pretense, with genuine tenderness, you have the opportunity to touch this innermost space without invading it. And this creates a connection that doesn't depend on long conversations or hasty promises. It's about something deeper, about invisible threads that connect souls. He won't be able to explain the sudden feeling of your presence during the day, but he will definitely feel it, because you've left something important in that part of his heart, where the cold light of logic doesn't penetrate. It's important to understand that this isn't about total control over his thoughts. There's no need to become an obsession in order to have true value in his life. Genuine influence flourishes when you become a refreshing breath of air for him, a symbol of calm, a quiet haven to which he subconsciously aspires. This isn't achieved through persistence or clever strategies. It grows from sincerity, from a loving presence that doesn't impose itself but leaves an indelible mark, from words that don't conquer but warm, from gestures that don't lure into their nets, but heal emotional wounds. Think for a moment, how often in his life have there been moments when receiving a message made him close his eyes for a moment and sigh with relief? How often has he felt that someone truly sees his soul, hidden behind a mask of outward success, behind a familiar role, behind everyday routine? Most likely, such moments can be counted on one's fingers, because in our frantic world, sincere human contact has become a truly rare treasure. And here you are, to offer him this rarity, a connection without falsehood and pretense, without fuss and haste, without selfish motives, an honest, tender, and constant presence. Morning is the gateway through which a new day begins. And if your words reach him in this magical hour, you're not just sending a message, you're setting a rhythm, imprinting an emotion in his heart, opening a new chapter in his personal narrative. He won't be able to explain it rationally, but you'll subtly change the course of his day. And this seemingly insignificant action has tremendous power, because how the day begins determines how it will be lived entirely. And if you're present in his life as the first spark, as an invisible caress, then your influence will manifest in every subsequent event. However, for this to happen, it's first necessary to be in harmony with yourself, to listen to the voice of your heart, not to intrusive expectations. It's easy to give in to the temptation to impress, provoke a violent reaction, win attention at any cost. But this only exhausts and doesn't bring true connection. What truly touches is what's born spontaneously, without a pre-developed plan, what comes from the depths of a soul that doesn't strive for control. And you can write to him from this state. You can talk to him without trying to catch him in your nets, desire him without losing yourself, get closer without dissolving into him completely. This is where true strength lies, the strength of a woman who knows her worth, who respects herself, who doesn't need to shout to be heard. Thus, every message you send can become a transforming whisper, a spark that ignites without incinerating, a musical note that gets stuck in his head like a melody that can't be stopped from humming. There's no need to write to him every hour or obsessively remind him of your presence. One sincere, heartfelt, unexpected message is enough. And then it becomes an echo, a reverberation, a cherished memory, because what's born in the depths of the soul remains there to live. There is a secret beauty in the art of insinuation, the ability to speak without uttering words, to be present without imposing oneself, to touch without invading. When presence becomes so weightless that it doesn't need to be defined in order to be felt, it reaches a depth that lies beyond the ordinary. In those first, fragile seconds of a new day, when the world hasn't yet filled with bustle and noise, a message, like a spark, can illuminate the mind. And it's not about its literal content, but about what it awakens in the soul. Perhaps it's just an image, a well-aimed word, or a shared joke understood only by two. The meaning isn't as important as the feeling that arises when reading. If a person smiles for no apparent reason, if something inside them relaxes, if their soul finds peace, like a traveler finding refuge from a storm, then you have achieved a goal that many strive for, but few attain. To resonate not with logic and reason, but with the very essence of the person. After all, human thinking is not simply a mechanism of associations. It is a limitless, unpredictable space where paths intertwine with emotions, memories, and intuition. A message written with pure intention can slip into one of these loopholes and settle there effortlessly. And at any moment of the day, whether it's checking email, walking down the street, or stopping at a traffic light, that emotion can return, not as a clear thought, but as a pleasant, vague sensation, like an invisible presence nearby. That is the moment when you, without being physically present, begin to fill their world, not as an obsession, but as an emotional memory, as a constant echo, as a harmonious note. And it is this presence that transforms relationships, because it depends not on the frequency of contacts, but on their depth. There are people with whom we communicate daily, but they leave no trace in us. And there are those who with a single word can turn everything inside out, like an underground river. You can become such a person, but to do so, you must cultivate something similar within yourself. Fruitful silence is that inner space where you do not expect an answer, confirmation, or immediate reciprocity. Your essence is a generous gift, a source of unconditional giving. The words that come from you are charged with a unique energy, free from the burden of need. They are not burdened with demands, but carry the lightness of a suggestion, do not dictate conditions, but invite exploration. And it is this subtle but tangible difference that the person will notice, although they may not be able to express it in words. Imagine the moment that comes after reading lines that have touched the deepest chords of the soul. Time seems to stand still, and in that brief moment, an internal restructuring takes place. Thoughts begin their dance, The body responds with a barely perceptible tremor, and a feeling of softness and peace is born within. If you can evoke such a reaction even once, you will create in their inner world a space that will become exclusively yours, unique and irreplaceable. Even if everyday life returns to normal, a new note will already be beating in their heart. And without saying a word, without even admitting it to themselves, they will subconsciously begin to strive for that feeling again. Not out of anxiety or dependence, but out of a sincere desire to reunite with that world, with that spark, with that restrained warmth that your words left in their soul. Then their attention will change. The way they wait will be transformed. They will seek to meet you not out of a sense of duty or habit, but out of free choice. And it is at this moment that a transformation occurs. You cease to be a random episode in their life and become a point of emotional attachment, a significant figure in their inner world. But it is important to understand that this does not mean, that you are obligated to support them or be responsible for their well-being. It is about the ability to offer a presence so complete, so focused on itself, that it gives peace and confidence to the one who feels it. In our chaotic world, this is a real luxury, a rare gift that many strive for, but few manage to preserve. Therefore, your energy should not depend on their reactions, should not fluctuate depending on their answers. It must remain constant, pure, and accessible, like a lighthouse that does not move from its place, but confidently shows the way. And here begins the most interesting thing. When a person finds such a presence in you, their perception of love undergoes changes. They no longer seek in you compensation for what the world denies them, do not project their inner voids onto you. They begin to see you as you really are, with all your virtues and peculiarities, accepting you as you are. When a person sees your true essence, without masks and tricks, then genuine love is born, not for actions or words, but for what you awaken in their soul, for how you help them feel real. This is the highest form of attachment, when love is directed not at another person, but at the feelings and experiences that they evoke in you. There are times when everything seems shaky and unstable, when the body moves by inertia and the soul hovers somewhere far away. In such moments, even a small but sincere gesture can become a reminder that there is beauty in the world that goes beyond everyday routine, that not everything is lost in predictability. A short but meaningful message can break through the veil of alienation, like a fresh wind opening windows in a stuffy room. It is not the length of the text that matters, but the emotional warmth with which it is written. Words that come from the heart do not need verbosity to leave a lasting mark. Perhaps a person does not immediately realize the impact you have on them. Sometimes the most sincere expressions of feelings are perceived with a delay, but the body will definitely react. A slight expansion in the chest, a sense of peace amidst life's difficulties. Perhaps they won't even immediately understand that you are the source of these sensations, but a trace will remain. And later, when they are overwhelmed by emotions, when the world demands more from them than they can give, they may recall your message not as a specific phrase, but as a vivid emotional experience that helped them cope with difficulties. This transforms communication, because the impact is not on rational perception, but on the innermost corners of the soul. Every word, spoken consciously, has the power to either open new horizons or erect impregnable walls, build bridges of understanding, or create barriers of alienation. Within each person lies the ability to create something never seen before. But for this, it is necessary to hear one's own voice, different from the voice striving for recognition or craving approval. This is a voice born in silence, when all desires to please others recede, calm, wise, unhurried, and full of love without fear. It is then that transformation occurs. Words cease to be just words. They become part of a shared experience, an expression of a need that the person was not even aware of. And then something unexpected happens. Without requests or expectations, sincerity arises in response. Superficial impulses fade away, and genuine presence emerges. The gaze changes. Even at a distance, a depth is felt that requires no explanation. An inexplicable force attracts. Energy speaks louder than words. A person seeks not just conversation, but the opportunity to breathe anew. At this moment, many experience fear, coming into contact with something authentic that can change the usual way of communicating. Often they retreat not because of unwillingness, but because of an inability to withstand the truth. But the task is not to force, but to maintain internal stability, even if it is shaken. Strength lies not in controlling another, but in preserving one's essence, no matter what happens. This, even if silently, will be noticed and appreciated, although not always consciously. It is here that the culmination of emotional intimacy is reached, when two people feel each other not out of need or game, but out of absolute honesty. When there is no room for strategy, but only transparency. When there is no fear of appearing vulnerable or looking deep within. In this naked space, free from masks and filters, connection is built not on actions, but on presence. And so, when your words become not just a background, but an organic part of their existence, when even your silence gains a voice, and absence becomes a tangible presence, you lay the foundation for something truly priceless. But as is often the case, at the moment of utmost confidence in what has been achieved, fate presents a surprise. The realization that not only have they been transformed by your messages, but you yourself have undergone profound changes. After all, a sincere expression of feelings, like the art of calligraphy of the soul, leads to inner harmony and order. The ability to support oneself without resorting to dependence is like strengthening the roots of a mighty tree, giving stability and confidence. And a sincere desire for good, free from possessive instincts, unleashes dormant forces of self-expression. Yes, they were thinking about you, but you, first and foremost, reunited with yourself, gained wholeness. And this unexpected turn, not included in the original plans, became the most valuable gift of fate. Over time, when words intertwine without unnecessary explanations, something deeper and more eloquent is born, an intuitive understanding of another person. This is not just perception and based on what is said or shown, but a penetration into the essence, into the unsaid, into what is felt on an intuitive level. This connection is like an invisible thread connecting two hearts beyond formal communication. And when they begin to feel your presence, even in moments of silence, when your words echo in their solitude or accompany them in their daily affairs, then the connection penetrates into a realm where falsehood and pretense are impossible. This happens spontaneously, without prior planning, not out of a desire to impress or remain in memory, but out of authenticity, out of a willingness to appear without masks, without the need to prove anything. When you cast aside masks, abandon carefully constructed strategies, and reveal sincerity to them, the message acquires unique value. It's not about perfection, but about the authenticity of feelings. And this truth, no matter how painful it may be, has healing power. Perhaps they don't realize why a simple morning message evokes such a strong response. It is quite likely that they won't even notice the changes consciously, but their body will feel it, their breathing will become smoother, and their mood will improve, although they won't immediately associate it with you. The soul unfailingly recognizes what nourishes it, even if the mind doesn't immediately grasp it. And when the mind begins to perceive your presence as a haven of safety and warmth, its interaction with the world undergoes a transformation. It discovers a new way of receiving love, a love that doesn't demand, doesn't impose, doesn't seek to remake it, but accepts it as it is. This revelation is both delightful and disconcerting, as it holds up a mirror that it previously hesitated to look into. This mirror neither judges nor flatters, but silently reminds it of its potential, of the possibility of becoming better, of opening up to the world without losing itself, of surrendering to feelings without weakening. And you, without intentionally seeking to do so, become a witness to this profound transformation, a participant in a process that it won't share with anyone, because it originates in the very depths of its being. At this point, it no longer matters whether it thinks about you, but how it does so. Thoughts can be mechanical and intrusive, but reflections born from a sense of emotional intimacy possess a transformative power. You don't intrude into its existence, but fill it with new colors. You don't narrow its personal space, but expand its horizons. You don't reshape its personality, but bring harmony to it. This is a special form of attachment that few are able to recognize, as it doesn't fit into conventional frameworks. However, once experienced, it can never be forgotten. When it realizes that its life is improving from just the thought of your presence, without grand words or promises, it will understand something that will forever change its perception of relationships. It will see that there are people who come not to fill a void, but to open up new perspectives, inspiring it to be fully itself. And you, without intentionally seeking to do so, have become just such a person, simply by being yourself, such a complete personality that your presence has become healing. It is then, when deep harmony reigns in the relationship, that the unforeseen occurs. External circumstances, beyond its or your control, intrude into life. The familiar order changes, unresolved conflicts arise, demanding immediate resolution. And your morning message, previously just a pleasant habit, transforms into a life-saving anchor, an island of stability in the midst of chaos. What for you was just a sign of attention becomes a true beacon for it. It may not always say it directly, may even seem distant and withdrawn, but your words will continue to exert their beneficial influence, like the roots of a tree supporting it, even when a storm rages on the surface. Genuine influence on feelings doesn't manifest instantly, like a flash or a blinding light. It acts gradually, penetrating deeply and causing subtle changes in perception, reactions, and the very existence of a person. The transformative effect is not always obvious at first glance, but there comes a moment when the person realizes the changes that have taken place. Suddenly, without any expectations, it shares a revelation about how your presence in its life, especially in the mornings, has had a profound impact on it. At that moment, it becomes clear that something more than just a habit has arisen between you. You have created a special, intimate space where its mind and soul have met, thanks to your ability to fill the silence between words with meaning and clarity. This space has become a meeting place where it has been able to look at itself and the world around it in a new way.